Hey, what's up, guys? Got another new video here for you. This is Tuned in Sports. My name is Bryson.
I'm Bennett.
And I'm Steve.
And today we've got another new video for you. We're just going to be quickly talking about some trade deadline stuff. It's coming up here in another week or so, I think. And so should be interesting to see what moves our teams are going to make.
If any.
Yeah, if any, exactly. I know my team is expected to be pretty aggressive. At least that's what they've said, is that they're planning to be pretty aggressive during the time. You can usually rely on Detroit to aggressively give away some players. And as for the Bengals,
you can rely on them to not make any moves at all.
You can rely on them to either lose some players to the state penitentiary or get a few back.
Or just not do anything.
Yeah, or just not. So, anyways, though, with that being said, there's actually one move that was made already. So I guess we'll go ahead and start there. And start by talking about the Lions. Today, or at the time of this recording, on the 27th of October, it was announced that the Detroit Lions traded a sixth-round compensatory, pick to the Dallas Cowboys for Everson Griffen. So, like I said, usually the Detroit Lions are on the traded a player for picks end of it, but this time they're actually getting somebody. So nice to see Detroit trying to be aggressive and make some moves. Hopefully for them, this is the first of many to come. But we'll see what ends up happening. But, overall, if they get the player that, terrorized their backfield while he was in Minnesota, they definitely saw what he's capable of for quite a few years there, because he spent a lot of time in the Detroit backfield. Stafford's probably like, oh, great, thank God I don't have to face him week in and week out. He's on my team. So I think it should be a good thing, but, it's also something to note is that he hasn't exactly played great for the Cowboys. Mark that up to whatever you want. There's something to be said for the team is just in shambles anyways. So is anybody really playing that well? Not really. But at the same time, defense has been their biggest problem all year long. So it's not like, it just started since Dak went out or something.
Right.
Even when Dak was playing and some of these other things, and they were at full strength, defense was giving up 30-plus a game. Is that all his fault? No, not necessarily, but they got rid of him for a reason. So, but I still think it was worth it for Detroit. Like I said, they played against him for quite a few seasons. They know what he's capable of. And I think if he plays to his potential, I think they got a solid run blocker / pass attacker guy.
Yeah,
on their team.
I'm actually really excited about this pickup. It was nice to see us be on the receiving end of a trade. Usually we're giving away players for nothing. And so it was nice for us to be a little aggressive trying to better the team. Which, they were given an ultimatum at the beginning of the year that they needed to basically make playoffs or be fired.
Yeah.
So, this coaching staff and upper management is, actively pursuing to better the team. So, I was excited about this trade, and, he can potentially, be a big piece of the puzzle as far as pass rush is concerned. And I don't think he's super bad on run stop either. So I think we should be in pretty good shape with him. Providing that he's in good shape as far as, is he healthy and ready to go, or does he have, nagging injuries or what's going on with him?
Yeah.
But if he's good to go, then, that's going to be a plug-and-play situation. And providing that he comes in with the right attitude and everything, I think it's going to be a good fit.
Mm-hmm.
And, this is exactly what Detroit needs. They need to see some positive moves being made where people can get excited about it and, move this team forward and try to, do the best they can to get themselves into a playoff position.
Yeah.
So,
at the very least, he's depth, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of how I'm looking at it, is even if he's not super great, or he's not what he was in Minnesota anymore. I don't know. He didn't play very well at the beginning with Dallas, like I said, but even if he's not as good as he was expected to be at the beginning of this season, he's still depth. And he's still one more guy that can come in and play solid. So and only giving up a sixth, shoot.
And it's a compensatory pick at that. So, it's virtually getting them for nothing.
Yeah.
Like I said, I actually believe that he's going to, be a piece. Like, he's going to be one of the starters. I don't see him coming there and backing up. They may be sparingly, maybe they got packages they want to use him in or something, but I think he's going to be pretty much on the field a lot. And that's what I'm hoping happens. Because I think he could be a big piece of the puzzle for us, and potentially, really help us, get where we want to be. So,
yeah,
I'm excited. Like I said, this is not usually news that we hear. Usually, we're the ones that are selling, getting ready to try to tank for the, lowest draft pick we can get. So it's nice to see us actually trying to make moves to try to compel ourselves, into a playoff position. So. I don't know what'll happen with it, but the nice thing is that nobody can fault the organization for just sitting on their hands and not doing anything. So I'm happy about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have yet to really give any input on this, so I'm gonna go ahead and give my 2 cents on it. I feel like this is a pretty good move for the Lions. Only giving up a 6th rounder. Everson Griffen, really good player on the Vikings.
Mm-hmm.
Hasn't really performed all that well on the Cowboys. But, sometimes players don't fit systems well.
Right.
So,
yeah.
Who knows? I think he could be potentially a really good pickup for the Lions.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll have to see what happens.
Yeah, out of the players that are out there that have been mentioned for, free agent wise or whatever, or people that are on the trade blocks, he's definitely was a name that was drawing some attention.
Yeah.
And it for what they got him for, it was really an inexpensive experiment. If it doesn't work out, then he plays the rest of the season, then he's gone. He goes somewhere else next year, which may be the case, but. I applaud him for at least bringing him in. He's definitely got some ability. And like I said, I'm excited. I think it's a great thing. We usually aren't in a position where we're trying to make moves. So
yeah, I don't think you're hurting yourself any by bringing him in.
No. It's like Bryson
rounder.
said, it's depth, if nothing else.
Yeah, and generally a 6th rounder, you're not going to be getting a top-tier player anyways.
No, you're not getting a player of his
caliber.
Right.
So
a 6th round pick generally. So I'm extremely happy with this move. Whether it works out to be exactly what they needed or not, I really don't care. It's just nice to see them saying, "Hey, we're going to get active here and try to do something."
Build something here. Yeah.
We're usually
nice.
The sellers. We're usually selling people. We're not usually buying. So
yeah,
nice to be in that position.
Speaking of which, have you heard of any other news since we're talking about the Lions first? Have you heard of anybody else they might be potentially looking at shipping, anything like that?
Marvin Jones.
Well, I don't know.
That was a while back that I heard they were talking about possibly trading him away, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think right now, they're going to keep the main pieces of this puzzle and try to go forward and win with what they got. I don't see getting rid of him as being a bright move at this point. There was some talk about them being interested in the kid from New York.
Quentin Williams?
Mm-hmm. There was talk about them being interested in him before, but I think with the signing of Griffen, I don't think they pursue that one any longer because they're going to have to pay a lot more for Quentin Williams. And
isn't Quentin Williams still on a rookie contract, though?
Well, he could be, but they're going to be asking a lot more than a 6th-round pick.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. Never mind. Sorry, I thought you were talking in terms of pay. I was like, that's not that bad. I mean, but...
But still, I mean, I think with the signing of Griffen, I don't see them pursuing him.
Nah.
Yeah.
I can't. I mean, if they did, well, hell, whatever. I'm all for it if they think it's going to help. But I don't see them doing that. But I also don't see them trading away any of their people at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Since they're at 3-3, that kind of puts them right in the mix, to be relevant and for a playoff push. Especially with how bad the NFC East is. There's only going to be one team coming out of that this year, and there's usually two, making the playoffs from that division. So that might open up an extra spot in the NFC North to get a third team in there, feasibly.
Or at least a second.
Well, yeah. They usually get two.
No, I know, but I'm just saying because of the NFC,
The South.
NFC South and all the teams being right around well, not all of them, but at least two of them, and then the NFC West too. Pretty much every team in that is
Pretty good.
banging on all cylinders right now, so you just never know. But regardless, I mean, yeah, you need to see them be aggressive. In some respects, I almost think, even if like they don't make the playoffs, but you see them making moves and stuff, I don't know, and they are really aggressive in this offseason and really make a push and look a lot better. Like just eye test, they look a lot better and they look like they could be a team to contend with moving forward. I don't know if that saves Patricia's job, but should that maybe save the ownership? I mean, because I feel like this is the most aggressive in terms of, potentially, if they keep doing this, you know what I mean, where they're not just Everson, Griffen, and then trade away two players, because we've seen that before. But I'm saying if they don't trade away anybody and they make a handful of moves to bring in some pieces, I feel like that's the most aggressive I've seen Lions ownership be in quite a long time. So, I feel like in some respects he might be worth keeping around if he's going to keep doing that. But then again, if he feels comfortable again because, now that, this isn't a contract year, I can take it easy and go back to doing what I was doing before.
No,
I don't know.
I don't think that's going to be the case because they have to win. But the bottom line is, I think that the new owner, the lady that's in charge, I don't know that she has the pulse on everything, but I think she's got the pulse on what the fans want and how people are sick of watching garbage football. Yeah. And whether you're a fan of the team or not doesn't matter because all you got to do is read a few message boards or some of the posts being put on Facebook, this, that, and the other, and you can get a real quick vibe for where the fans are at for this team, and what the pulse is like on what they want done. So I just think, as a whole, the organization is kind of in a crossroads right now because, people want to see him sell to somebody that actually cares. But, it's been in the Ford family forever, and I don't necessarily think it's leaving. As much as I think maybe it would be the right move, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I just think it's a sad situation, but it could change. I mean, if this new lady that's in there now decides that, she's sick of watching garbage as well and wants the team to, put some, championship banners up in the stadium, then it might work out. But
yeah, we'll see.
we can only go by what we've seen in the past, which is not much.
Yeah.
So,
all right.
Which is,
what?
yeah, which is lucky to see the playoffs, let alone
yeah, they've never been to a Super Bowl, so that can't even be in the discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's move on to the next team. Let's go ahead and talk about the Bengals next. I know that I haven't heard or seen them actually move anybody or make a move for anybody, but I have heard trade rumors about quite a number of different players on the team. I know the Eagles were interested in Joe Burrow, so they're probably going to
No.
move him for a 7th.
no.
No,
If we trade Burrow away, I would think the
Burrow,
organization just needed to go away as a whole. If we trade Burrow away, that
Yeah,
would
they're
be
going to
about
trade
the
him straight
stupidest
across
thing.
for their current quarterback.
No, they'll trade him to the Raiders for Nathan Peterman.
Yeah. No, all jokes aside, though, I have heard quite a few things about a number of different players on the Bengals that either are disgruntled or they just are looking, or maybe not looking to, but are open to seeing what the market is for them. One of those being, the disgruntled ones.
Geno Atkins, Carlos Dunlap.
Geno Atkins, Carlos Dunlap. Both of them have kind of voiced some displeasure here recently about their situation, and you don't want cancers in the locker room and stuff. And in some respects, I almost feel like,
Trading, I almost feel like at this point, trading them away would be the best move, because they're both older players. We're growing younger as an organization, and I feel like we should continue to go on that trend.
Mm-hmm.
And if we can get some potentially high draft picks, especially for Geno, because I would think that teams would give up a lot for him. I mean, he's been a great player for a long time, so I would think that we could get something good on the market for him.
Get a 7th.
No, I think higher than that, but definitely higher than that. But
I don't know.
basically,
He's old.
a Peterman or something.
He's old, so I don't know how much they're going to get.
Either way, though.
He's a decent player, but he's old.
Either way, though, if he's not wanting to be there, why keep him?
And Carlos Dunlap.
Mm-hmm. It's a sad situation there. I mean, it's sad that those guys have played for the organization for so long, and yet they feel the way they do. And it's got to be something to do with the new coaching staff that don't see them to be pieces of the puzzle moving forward. Even though they've been staples of the defense for several years now.
Yeah, and that probably is where a lot of the problems come in, because they're like, hey, man, we've been here.
Yeah,
we deserve a little bit better than just, we don't really see you working out. We've been here for years. What the hell?
Yeah, I mean, and especially in Atkins' case, I mean, he has pretty much been the main player on the defense for quite a few years now.
I don't understand, especially in Atkins' case, why they're benching him. I mean, I guess
maybe he's not healthy.
Well, I from what I'm reading, he's feeling fully capable of playing and wants to play.
Right.
And they got him like not even as a starter now.
Yeah,
so it's like
we're not watching him in practice. We're not seeing all the stuff going on.
well,
I mean, it could be a scenario where the coaching staff's looking at him and saying, he's not even giving us his all in practice. Why do we need to be playing him?
well, yeah, that could possibly be it.
You know,
But
I can't judge his character. I don't know enough about the guy. I mean, all I do know is that he's been a very good player in this league for quite a long time, and I would figure if he wants to leave there, I would figure somebody would be willing to want to pick him up.
however, I mean, the way he's gone about it compared to Dunlap, two different things. Dunlap's done nothing but trash the organization, post stuff on Instagram about selling his house and stuff like that. And, you know, I feel like Gino, he's gone about it in a more respectful way. And I respect that a lot because, you know, it not only is he really hurting Dunlap hurting his trade value, but he's hurting the team in general. So, I'm hoping that we'll be able to ship Dunlap. I want him out of there.
He'll look good in a Ravens uniform.
But, you know, I think part of the reason that we benched Dunlap is because this new guy that we got, Kareem, in the draft, he's been playing really well since he stepped in there at edge rusher. So I wouldn't be surprised if that played a part in why Dunlap was benched.
Yeah, but he also was coming off an injury, right?
Who?
Wasn't Kareem playing a lot because Dunlap got hurt for a couple games?
Yeah, I think so.
One of those guys got hurt. I thought it was Dunlap, right?
But I know last
Atkins
game
was.
he had like he was in the top 3 for PFF rating in our last game against the Browns. So he's been playing damn well. So
Which is probably just one more reason why they would be fine with shipping the guy.
yeah, exactly.
Because they already got his replacement, as well as, you know, he's not.
And he's older.
Yeah.
So
yeah, with that being said, though, I mean, it'll be interesting to see what they do with those two guys. I definitely think trading them, even if you don't get what you feel you should, I think trading them is better than, you know, just keeping them on the team and having all that going on, or just straight up cutting them during the season and getting 0 for them, and then they can go and choose where they want to go and stuff. Because, you know, especially like in Dunlap's case, I mean, wouldn't be surprised to see him end up on a team within the division, because the teams in the division are known for their defense, like the Ravens and the Steelers. They've played him for years and years. They know what kind of a player he is, and what better way to stick it to the team that you played for than to go join another team that is going to play him and then say, hey, remember me?
Well, also what I read, if we were to get rid of Dunlap, we would open up a lot of cap, actually, because we're paying Dunlap a huge contract right now. So, you know what? If they could get rid of him and get something for him, I don't even care if it's not exactly what we want. I mean, from what I've read, people are saying that the asking prices are way too much. What the Bengals are looking for is way too much compared to what...
Well, yeah, because you got to think that they're not only taking what the other team is offering, but then they're also having to take on the contract that he currently has. That's probably the biggest issue, is they don't. I mean, they're already having to pay an insane amount, which is what the Bengals are doing right now, is paying an insane amount for him, and they're asking for more. So it's a tough sell. But again, trading him for something is better than just cutting him or, having him on the team unhappy the whole season for him to walk at the end of it.
Yeah, and also, to get off with those two, let's get into a couple other players that have been talked about in recent trade rumors. I actually heard something about William Jackson possibly being traded, AJ Green, and also John Ross. John Ross wants to be traded.
Yeah, he wants out, doesn't he?
Yeah, that's what I read.
Speaking of disgruntled, yeah.
So, but partially I blame that on him because he's never healthy. I don't understand why he's complaining. I mean, he's not out there 90% of the time.
Yeah.
And here he is complaining about, oh, you're not using me enough.
Well, plus he doesn't catch the ball.
Yeah.
He drops more passes than he brings in. So if that's the case, I mean, you want to walk? Go ahead, buddy.
Yeah, we don't need to anyways.
You can walk yourself right into the CFL.
There was
some a whole lot of suitors vying for your services.
I know.
There was some things about the Eagles possibly trading for him.
I know.
And I was like, what? That. John Ross? What, another guy we can have on the IR list? What the hell are we trading for him for?
I just, I don't understand that. Like, from what I've read, he wants a fresh start.
I can understand that.
He wants a fresh start. And I mean, I think trading him would be a good move for us.
Yeah.
I mean, with T. Higgins already in there, and some of these other guys that are really playing well at the moment, I don't think we need him.
No.
So
it's also just going to come down to who else goes. I mean, yeah, you've got some solid receivers, but like if you trade away AJ Green, that's going to change the dynamic of the team because AJ Green, for the most part, is going to be the number one guy when you talk about corners. The number one, like let's say the Eagles are playing against the Bengals. AJ Green is not being guarded by anybody other than Slay. He's taken that spot. So that means the number 2 corner on the Eagles is going to be guarding Tyler Boyd or whatever. And that will create better matchups for Boyd. I'm not saying that he couldn't be a number 1 receiver, but I'm just saying he's not getting the best the other team has to offer guarding him right now. Because that's what, even if AJ Green's not playing great, he's a name. And he's been really good for years. So with him, if he gets traded, then everyone's positions are going to have to change. And, that might impact how they're playing.
Yeah, as far as Boyd goes, he's 3rd in the league in receptions this year. So I could very easily see that changing where the number 1 is they have guarding Boyd. Because Boyd's balling. And he's not slowing down either. He had 10 or 11 catches last game against the Browns. He's just on fire.
But you got AJ Green on the team. The name
and Higgins is balling. He had 5 catches, 71 yards last game.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, even when you played the Eagles, those guys were playing well, and they still put what's-his-nuts on AJ Green. He didn't guard anybody else. But they said if Tyler Boyd has a great game, good for him. But AJ Green's not. We're keeping our best on AJ Green.
And AJ Green's beginning to pick it up. So if he
I'm saying without him on the team, if they were to trade him, like there's talks about, It's going to change the dynamic. Whenever you lose the number one receiver, it'll change the dynamic. I'm not saying they won't be able to do anything afterwards, but it'll be a change.
Up to this point, AJ hasn't been the same receiver that he was before.
Well, he's got 8-9 receptions in the last 2 games, so
he's picking it up, and if he can.
But he's another one that's supposedly disgruntled. So
no, not from what I'm reading.
There's been conflicting things though.
I've heard he's wanting to stick around, and I've also heard that he's upset. So it's kind of like what me.
What
it's just
do you
gonna
want
go
to believe, right? Which one do you want to believe?
If he wanted to stick around and continues to play well, then I think we should
make it happen.
Yeah, but I wouldn't be surprised if Cincinnati is fine with moving him, because you got some promising players on their rookie contract still, and I don't know when his contract year is coming, but depending on how much he would be asking for at his age, I don't know if he would be worth it for how often he gets injured. I don't know what kind of contract that you'd be giving him, and I think you've got a lot of talent already, and like you said, was the third leading receiver or whatever, and stats-wise.
So far this year, yeah.
So, obviously he's got the talent to do it, so I wouldn't be surprised if... And also, he's got a name, so he could easily get somebody to overpay for him, or maybe not overpay, but dish quite a bit out to bring him in.
Yeah.
And maybe he wouldn't be worth it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Time would tell, but...
But, like I said, if he continues to play kind of like how he's been playing these past couple weeks, then I don't know if you get rid of him. If he's willing to be,
Well, if he's willing to stick around and...
Not, we won't have to overpay for him, then...
Well, that's the other thing is, if he's going to be asking for top-tier money and you're not willing to pay it to him at this point, then trading him would be probably the best option. Otherwise, he's going to be walking for nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
And you probably don't want that to happen.
And, speaking of free agency, actually, we got some guy named... former Bills and Titans O-lineman, Quentin Spain, that we were talking about bringing in. We worked him out this week, and it's looking like we're going to sign him to a deal. So, at this point, 4 O-linemen are injured on our team, and we need guys to fill those roles. So
You won't hear any complaints from Joe Burrow. They decided to upgrade the offensive line.
No.
That guy's taking a beating.
Yeah. So, no, I think the doors are open. It sounds like there's a lot of different things that could potentially be going on down there in Cincy Town. And we've mostly just talked about guys that they could potentially be trading. That's not necessarily even including what they might be trading for. I'm not really sure on all that, but either way, sounds like they're planning on being pretty active one way or another.
I would love it. I would love to see them make some moves. Whether it's.
I think the moves that they'll make won't be so much to bring in a bunch of players.
It's gonna get draft picks.
Right. I think it's gonna be looking towards the future.
And I don't think that's the worst thing. I think that's fine.
I think they're conceding that this is not going to be the season they're going anywhere.
No, and they've got, like Bennett said before, they're paying a lot of guys a lot of money, and those guys
sit on the bench.
And a lot of those guys aren't really going to be the difference, and they're older and stuff like that. So I think this is just a year you clear out some cap space, maybe in the upcoming, in between next season and this season. Once the Super Bowl's over, maybe you look into free agency, have a little bit more spending money to maybe bring in a piece here or there, as well as all those draft picks. and I think that would be good.
And let's also remember, they were really active this off season, this last off season before this season, and they've just been unfortunate because most of the guys they brought in have already been on the IR.
Yeah.
So
No, they're definitely acting like an organization
that wants to win.
right
That wants to improve.
Right, that's trying to get where they want to be, which is contending for championships.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I mean, all the moves they've made, I mean, there's not really been anything bad. You know, like you said, you got a lot of guys hurt. Joe Burrow's definitely turned out to be better than what they probably even initially thought he would be.
Yeah.
And, you know, if they can keep him upright.
Yeah, he's third in passing yards for the season.
Yeah, and they not only that, but they renegotiated Mixon's contract earlier, so they don't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
And so they've got some pieces in place that are signed for the future, and they've got some pieces that could be moved out to build to the future. So I think the trade deadline should be interesting for the Bengals.
Yeah, and I like the way things are headed with the Bengals. So I look forward to it. I mean, I look forward to seeing what this organization does next.
Yeah.
And so far over these past couple seasons, I can't complain.
Yeah.
I mean, they've made moves to get better, even though it hasn't necessarily shown in their record.
No, but they're playing a better quality brand of ball right now than they were a year ago. You know, and you know, I mean, in large part to Joe Burrow. I mean, he's playing above and beyond his years. He's playing almost like a veteran, not a rookie. So,
yeah,
it's the future's bright there in Cincinnati. I mean, they just got to hang. Right now, they just got to hang in there and keep on realizing that they're losing these close games, but it's not a situation where they're getting blown out and they're not competing. So, I mean, kudos to the coaching staff, and I know the fans are probably a little like, come on, we want to start winning, but sometimes you got to go through the process, and then when they start winning, they'll appreciate it even more.
Yep.
Doing the way they did it. So
yeah.
But anyways, let's go ahead and get off the Bengals and head into the Eagles.
Yeah, speaking of injuries and going through the process, let's move on to my team. And also speaking of the Bengals, because for a little while, at least, I was reading something about potentially the Eagles being interested in trading for A.J. Green, actually. Or I don't know if it was rumored that, the Eagles were looking at him, or if it was just one of those things where should they be looking at him. In that same article, I read also about Marvin Jones from the Lions, and I also read about Julio Jones from the Falcons. I definitely think that we could use some help at wide receiver position. It's not so much that we don't have any wide receivers that can play. It's that we don't have any wide receivers that seem to be able to stay healthy. I think Travis Fulgham has stepped up and played huge this year. Greg Ward, holy crap, that guy has played out of his mind. Him and Fulgham both. Never heard of either of them, but man, they played outstanding. We got another guy in there right now, Rogers. Never heard of him, but boy, he's been stepping it up. We got Arcega Whiteside, the difference maker with one catch for 8 yards every week. So, we've got a lot of promising people, I guess. But, we're kind of missing that big guy. Now, we have Deshaun Jackson, but he keeps getting injured. And then we have Jeffrey, who was supposed to kind of fill that role, but he hasn't really done a great job, and he's been injured all this season. We haven't even seen him practice yet for this season, which is unfortunate because I was a fan of his. But, on the same token, I've also been reading a decent amount about him being unhappy in Philadelphia, and unhappy to go there. Now, again, you don't know. He's come out and denied that multiple times. So, I don't know what there is to believe. He's came out and said, "Oh, that's just the media hyping up this, that, or the other thing." I believe. I know at least 1 or 2 times he's came out and said that, tried to kind of discredit the idea that he's not happy in Philly. But, I mean, these things don't just get, pulled out of the air from nothing. My guess is that at some point he probably said something to somebody, maybe out of frustration from something, and whether it was taken out of context or what, these things don't usually just come from nothing. And the fact that there was so many rumors for so long about him possibly being unhappy here leads me to believe that there may be some truth behind it. Mm-hmm. And even so, it's been a distraction on the team, even if it's not true. And for how much he's played and how well he's played and stuff, I mean, I don't know really what we're paying him. I think we signed him to a 4-year deal. Not sure on the dollar amount, but I wouldn't be crying if we moved him, if we were to get some things for him. But I was reading something today about us possibly trading him to the Patriots, and in that trade we'd be trading him to the Patriots plus a 5th round pick for a 6th round pick. And I'm like, what the hell kind of deal is that? They're the ones getting a player.
That's a Belichick deal.
I mean, seriously, we're getting a lower round than they are for the same year plus a player? What? What?
Well, it could be.
Are you kidding me?
It could be a lot to do with the cap, like the number.
Well,
and what they're getting, what he's getting paid.
The only thing I can say is that's a bunch of crap. For that, keep him. I don't care. If we're gonna have to give up a pick to get a lower pick and lose him, shoot, keep him. I don't even care. Yeah. Don't trade him. Because we're losing more by trading him than we are by just saying, you know what, didn't really work out too well with him on the team. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say he was just horrible, because he was good. Yeah. I mean, he played decently when he was on the field for the most part. Everybody wants to go back to how he drops balls and stuff. Yeah, he does sometimes, but I think they all do for the most part. And he's a solid player when he's healthy. So, I mean, I don't think he was bad. I think he was solid. Is he maybe not worth the money we paid him? That could be. That could be. But I don't know about he's just a bad player. So, with that being said, I mean, again, though, shoot, if we're going to have to pay more to trade him than we will to just keep him, eat it. Eat the contract and just say, okay, well, we made a mistake. If that's what it comes down to. Do not do that trade that was proposed. I mean, geez, giving him to the Patriots plus a pick, that's horrible. Horrible.
And then he'll turn into an all-star on the Patriots.
Yeah, exactly. And he'll probably trash the organization on the way out. But I'm just saying, don't do that one.
Hey, make sure and trade Arcego Whiteside. He can go be a non-back on somebody else's team.
Yeah, he can go get 1 reception for 8 yards for somebody else. No, that guy, I don't know. No, but, on the same token, though, I mean, Deshaun Jackson, I was really excited to have him back on the team, but he's been so injured. He's been a non-factor. I think he's played a total of, 5 games since he's been an Eagle across 2 seasons. So he's been a bust pretty much, unfortunately. Wasn't upset when we traded for him or when we signed him. I was actually really excited, but hasn't worked out. But, with that being said, I just think getting a wide receiver would be really good. And especially, man, if we were to get Julio Jones, I know he's getting older. I think he's probably 30, 32, 33 maybe. But he's still got some years left. Look at Larry Fitzgerald.
Yep.
He's 39 or something like that, and he's still maybe not what he once was, but he's still a difference maker out there.
Yep.
And I think Julio could definitely have an impact, and especially if he was to stay healthy. And speaking of staying healthy, I think this season as well as last season he had some injury issues. So there's another one where it's like, oh great, we're trading for another guy that has a history of problems. Same thing with AJ Green. If we're potentially looking at him, well, that's great. But there's another guy that over the last couple of seasons he didn't even play last season because he was injured. So it's like, well, I just see it as being another guy sitting on the IR potentially. Looking at those two. Now, Marvin Jones, though, I think he's the less of those three, like the least of those three in terms of caliber wide receivers. And that's not a shot because Julio Jones and AJ Green, since they've been in the league, have been probably top 3 wide receivers. So to say Marvin Jones was the least out of those 3, that's not, it'd be hard not to, unless you were Odell Beckham or somebody. Those two are great. So that's not a shot at him. But for my money, it seems like he's a little bit more reliable in terms of staying healthy. But is he the absolute difference maker that maybe having a Julio Jones on the team would be? Probably not, but I think he would be a solid addition. And I also don't think we'd have to give up as much to get him. So I actually would be pretty happy with that move if we were to go that direction and say, hey, let's sign or trade for Marvin Jones and, like I said, not have to give up as much to get him. Yeah. I think that would be a solid move.
Yeah, I like Marvin Jones. He was a good player when he was on the Bengals too. So, if the Eagles could get their hands on him somehow, I wouldn't be against it if I was an Eagles fan. That's for sure.
No, and I'm not saying that these were things that were rumored to actually be happening. I think this was probably just an article that was saying, should the Eagles be looking, these are guys the Eagles could potentially look at or try to go after. It's not saying, oh, they've been in talks with Atlanta, Detroit, and Cincinnati. But at the same time, those are 3 notable names, and to hear the Eagles in association with them is a promising sign.
It's just standard procedure.
Well, yeah,
they're always in every talk.
But, this would just be the typical for the Lions organization, bringing in Everson, Griffen, and then they get rid of one of their best wide receivers. That would just be typical for a Lions type trade deadline. So,
Nah, the Lions aren't getting rid of them. To me, in my opinion, the Eagles don't have anything to offer the Lions. They can't give them equal return receiver wise. The Eagles have none. So, Detroit giving up a playmaker for nothing, in essence, I wouldn't do it. There's no way. Marvin Jones is one of the reasons that you're 3-3 right now.
But we did the same thing with Golden Tate, though. We didn't get...
Golden Tate was another one that Detroit, in my opinion, gave away for nothing when he was one of the better players on the team.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. It's happened before with the same 2 teams.
Yeah, Detroit has a history of giving away players.
But, nonetheless...
Nonetheless, though, I think that the Eagles should try and pursue somebody in free agency at the wide receiver position. Yeah, I don't. Doesn't have to be the Lions guy. It doesn't have to be the Bengals. If it was Julio Jones, I would lose my crap over that one. I would be super, super, super pumped if we were to get him, especially because he's an Alabama guy. So I would love to have him on my team. I would get a jersey immediately for him just because, like I said, Alabama guy, plus he's a great player coming to my team. That would be awesome, but we'll see if that ends up happening. Nonetheless, I think we need to target somebody that's a weapon. I mean, yes, we're holding the lead, and the division's not very good, so one player like that could make a big difference. And if we could just go after somebody and have them stay healthy, that would be great.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that we're devoid of talent on the team. It's just the talent is sitting on the IR list. So, it is what it is.
I'm getting to be a big fan of Travis Fulgham, actually. I feel like you should definitely. I mean, I'm pretty sure he's on his rookie contract, probably, right?
I honestly don't even know. I mean, I think so. And I also, speaking of wide receivers, I heard that Jalen Reagor returned to practice here recently.
That's good.
So, speaking of injuries, I mean, we just drafted him, played half a game, and boom, he's out.
But
bye.
But as bad as the Eagles having all these injuries is, I mean, it's kind of a benefit for them because it's allowing some of these guys that don't get much play time to get out there and ball.
Oh, I know. Yeah,
so,
we've seen just about every wide receiver from the practice squad, the wide receiving core, every running back that we have in our stable. We've assessed these guys at this point. There's plenty of tape on all of them because all of these guys, Boston Scott, I think he's our lowest string running back, but boy, he's he's out there as much as these other guys. He's out there as much as Miles Sanders at this point.
But yeah, if you're an Eagles fan, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily look at these injuries as like, oh crap, we just can't.
Yeah, I mean Dallas Goedert.
It's a good thing.
Dallas Goedert's injured too.
Yeah, in some ways, I think it's a good thing for the younger players.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. Last thing that I want to talk about, then we'll go ahead and wrap up this video. There was it actually came out. This was news, as far as I know. This wasn't just like somebody making a Facebook post. That there was multiple teams interested in trading for Zach Ertz. But then he was placed on the injured reserve list, and he's out. So as far as I'm aware, I think that pretty much ended the trade talks because the teams that were interested in him were looking for somebody that could step in and play right now, not another person on their injured reserve eating cash. You know what I mean? So yeah. I don't think that they'll probably move him now, but I think it's they said that the Packers and the Ravens were the two main ones that were looking at potentially trading for Zach Ertz, which, for both of those teams, it makes sense. I mean, especially the Ravens, they're not, Packers too. I mean, they've had a slew of really good tight ends come through Green Bay. And the Ravens, too. I mean, the Ravens are one of those run the football, use the tight end in the offense type of teams. So it totally makes sense why they'd be interested in somebody like that. Mm-hmm. Would I be upset if we got rid of Zach Ertz? Kind of. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily be jumping for joy. But, again, another guy that, at least this season, has been struggling with some injuries. And, I think he's a good player, but I don't think he's irreplaceable. I think Dallas Goedert is actually a really good player as well, who's at the same position and who could step in. And I just think the Eagles are pretty good at drafting well. I mean, heck, even the guy that they had that ended up getting traded to the Bears. I can't remember what his name was.
Trey Burton?
Yeah, Trey Burton. That was another Eagles guy that was a solid player. So they do pretty good at tight end drafts and stuff. So, I wouldn't be super upset. I wouldn't be super happy either. I mean, obviously he was a big part of the team for a long time, and he's another weapon that unfortunately we can't really afford to lose because everybody's injured. But at the same time, he's injured too. So what the hell is the difference?
Yeah, I would say if you can get a lot for him, then I think you can say that with every player. But if you could get a lot for him, then he might look into doing it. Because, like you said, they got a history with drafting good tight ends as of recent. So, what's his name? Dallas Goedert. He's playing pretty decent. So, you might already have your replacement there.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if you necessarily got to keep him around.
Yeah. So, anyway, this was just kind of all speculation about different things, as well as actual news in terms of Everson Griffen signing with Detroit. We're hoping to bring you guys maybe a couple more trade deadline videos. Anytime one of our teams makes a noteworthy move, at least, we'll probably hop on here and talk about it, even if it's a short video where we don't talk about all the other teams. And then also we're thinking about potentially at the end of the trade deadline just making a video talking about all the moves for all the different teams. If there's, some noteworthy trades from other teams, might be fun to make a video about that, just about the trade deadline in general. With that being said, guys, if you liked the video, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe so you can get all the different content. Make sure you check out Dent Sports. Steve here and our friend Don also is in that video, or on that channel. If you've watched this channel before, you've seen him in multiple videos for Tuned In Sports. So if you like the content here, make sure you check out their content, as well as gentleman at the end there. He has a channel as well called The Clip Joint, which myself and Steve have been featured on in the past for different podcasts and stuff talking about the Clippers. So if you guys are interested in that and want to check out their channel, make sure you do it. So with that being said, my name is Bryson.
Bennett.
I'm Steve.
And we'll see you guys in the next video.